All right. Hello, you guys. Welcome back to EXP Family Tree Wednesday Masterminds. This is all about productivity and learning from people within our company, sometimes not within our company, but just great people out there willing to come from contribution, share their successes in lead generation, all different kinds of tactics. Sometimes we also bring some other things into this conversation, like tax strategies and important things as a business owner you need to know. But mostly we focus on productivity, and we want to keep you guys focused on the different ways that you can make money, you can earn a great living here as a real estate professional, and find your own ways. But if you don't have all of the exposure to all the ways, you can't always find the ways that work for you. So that's what we do here in EXP Family Tree. It's open to anybody. Bring a guest if you ever want to. We are live streamed in EXP Family Tree. So if you want to watch this later, you can. Hi to all of you that are already watching live. I see a bunch of you. Join us via Zoom if you can. If not, stay on live stream, and you can go ahead and chat below the live stream as well, and we'll monitor for any questions. Last but not least, this is a recording. So if you're watching later on YouTube, hi to you as well. You guys, if you have friends that are not within EXP, go ahead and grab all of these trainings that we do. I put them out on my YouTube channel. Just search for my name, and you can share it with anybody you'd like. If they are looking for Facebook strategies, this would be a great one to share with them. So, and of course, if you have questions, want to be connected to Ernest or any of the other speakers, you can reach out to me on YouTube, and I'm happy to chat with you and see if we can support you in your journey here as a real estate agent. Without further ado, we've got Ernest Enriquez here. He is actually an EXP agent, not someone I knew prior to just being within the EXP infrastructure. We met on Workplace, which is our internal platform, so we can be introduced to all of the 90,000 agents across the globe in an easy way. And I saw what Ernest was doing, and I said, man, that would be amazing if we could learn from you. Would you do that? So he came a few months back, probably 6 months or so ago. And I wanted to come back and share if anything's changed, updated, how he's doing with his Facebook advertising and lead generating, and what he can share with us. So Ernest, give us a little bit of a synopsis about yourself and how successful you've been with Facebook ads, if you don't mind first, and then I'll just let you take it away.
Yeah, so hey everyone, thanks for the introduction there, Cari. My name's Ernest Enriquez. I've been with EXP since 2017, I believe. It's hard to believe I've been here that long, but I absolutely love the culture here at EXP. Wouldn't have it any other way. But just a little bit about my background. I've kind of honed myself in as the nerd of lead generation per se, because I'm always looking for skills and tips and kind of tricks that I can harness to really kind of one up my marketing month after month or year over year, whatever you want to call it. But the idea is that my kind of background over a year, course of a year, I actually listed about 8 expired listings, and I turned those 8 listings into around 12,000 leads throughout that year. So all harnessing the power of Facebook ads and really kind of driving lead engagement through these types of ads that we were running. We were able to successfully close over 100 plus transactions on a personal level. So that's kind of my background. I've been in real estate since 2015. So love it here in San Antonio, now doing the same ad strategy. I was actually practicing up in Spokane, Washington for several years. Built a really good book of business, have a really good network up there of agents who are now taking over that 12,000 lead book of business and really kind of leveraging it and becoming mega icon agents and all this other good jazz. So really cool stuff that we're going to highlight here today. We're going to walk you through some types of Facebook ads that I've personally run in my own business that have been really successful. We're going to show you those ads, and we're going to kind of dive deep into them and dissect them a little bit and tell you everything about them and what we're doing that's really making them so successful. So without further ado, let's just kind of dive right into the types of Facebook ads that most agents, including myself, are running, which of course you can see are things like brand awareness. Now, brand awareness is basically going to be a derivative of just your reach, right? You're trying to brand yourself. You're going to run ads to really kind of drive maximum exposure and advertise your brand. Now, through this, you're not going to get really any contact details or anything like that. But what it is going to do is highlight your page. And I'm going to show you why it's important to really have a good, strong brand when you're driving leads. The first tip that I'm going to drop today when driving Facebook leads is that you have to run a consistent ad. What I mean by that is, regardless if you have any listings or if you have any past solds, whatever the case is, you need to continuously drive and run a consistent ad presence. You can run a $2 ad or $2 daily ad. You can run a $5 daily ad. The goal there is to drive awareness to your page, but also have your ads set up to where they'll be successful. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that. The second part to this is consideration. So when you go to start creating your Facebook ad, you're going to look at these things and be like, holy cow, what do I choose? Most of you, and by a raise of hands, have probably done like a boosted post, right? That's going to be your similar ad of brand awareness, right? Where you boost the post. There's really not like a goal set for it other than you want to maybe drive likes, shares, and comments on it. If you want to do that, that's your consideration of engagement, right? If I wanted to go and let's say I have a new listing and I wanted to go and drive as many comments, likes, and shares to that listing as possible, I would use the consideration of engagement. That's what's going to be that goal or that consideration when setting up your Facebook ad. Now, if I wanted to go and just drive maximum amount of traffic to, let's say, a specific URL on my website, I would use the traffic consideration. This is going to allow me to put a call to action on my advertisement that says, click here to learn more about this property, right? And I can insert a link from my KV Core or my Chime or whatever CRM you're using that has, let's say, a squeeze page builder or a landing page builder. You could build that link previous to setting up your ad and then use that link to drive the traffic to. Now, while we're on that topic, I'm going to say it's very, very crucial to your ad success and driving down what you call is your CPL or your cost per lead is to make sure first and foremost that you have your Facebook pixel installed on your website. Going to my background here, I'm going to talk a little bit nerdy, but a Facebook pixel is just essentially a little piece of unobtrusive JavaScript that sets, let's call it a cookie on a user's browser that then enables you to retarget that lead. I say it's important because as you start driving traffic and doing, whether it's a brand awareness or a traffic ad and you're driving clicks to your website, you're going to be setting that pixel. So let's say you're running more ads, whether that's, an engagement ad or even a lead generation ad, you could still leverage the power of that pixel's data to retarget those people that have interacted with your website. So this is important because let's say you just generated a brand new lead to your website and you have your search alerts going out, that's bringing them back to your website, but you're also running paid advertising. That's also going to bring them back to your website. So you can see where if you're setting up like a consideration of traffic where you're driving those clicks, similar to like a Google pay-per-click ad, just a hair different, being that we're not bidding on keywords, we're actually bidding on interest, right? So I could say interest of Zillow, Realtor.com, things like that. They're going to click and drive and go back to your website. So if you've already captured the lead, they're already visited your website, you could still use that pixel to go ahead and retarget those leads. Now, the one I'm going to dive deep in today is called lead generation. So if you've all heard of, let's say, a lead form, if you haven't heard of a lead form is just basically a two-step authenticated form that is pre-filled when you use this consideration. So if I got a fresh listing, like I did, in my previous history where I got those expired listings, I would actually take those listings and I would start building my ad in Facebook. And then I would essentially use the lead generation strategy or consideration, as they call it, to effectively have those forms submitted to me in exchange for property details. So I would put click on my call to action. I would say, learn more. And as they click that learn more button, there's this pre-filled form that prompts open. It's pre-filled with their two-step authenticated details. So if you've recently logged into Facebook or if you've recently updated your Facebook or created an account, you'll notice that they actually text you or email you a code for you to verify to ensure that you are who you say you are. So those are the details that are pre-filled in that actual form that you're going to obtain as an agent. Now, I will put a disclaimer out there. You will need to use a tool like API Nation, Zapier, or Make.com in order to get those lead forms over to, let's say, your KV Core or your Chime account. But the idea is that you will capture phone number, email, and full name. You could also ask additional questions if you so please to, but just do consider that the more questions you ask, the more opportunity you give them to opt out or not capture a lead, and then your cost per lead could, of course, go up. My average cost per lead is anywhere from about 98 cents to under $2. So here in a second, when we drive into the ads, we're going to show you kind of how some of these are set up. And then the last one is conversions. If you're a KV Core user out there, you could actually leverage this catalog sales conversions tool or conversions tool. And KV Core has what's called as an XML feed. If any of you out there have heard of like Ylopo or any of those dynamic ad sets, you can essentially create the same strategy inside of your Facebook ads manager. KV Core also has its own product called, I believe it's Smart Social Leads, that does a similar strategy. So if you didn't want to run your own Facebook leads, you could effectively just hand that over to KV Core. But if you did want to run your own, you can upload, they have a link inside of the resources, and I'll get it over to you all, that you can go and then upload your catalog as an XML feed, and then it updates dynamically. So anytime there's a new listing within your office or that you personally have, it'll go through that feed, and then you can run a consistent ad presence with that feed. I'm going to show you what it looks like because it's actually really, really cool. So let's dive in really quick. Let me pause my screen here for a second. And if we have any questions, let's go ahead and ask those right now. Okay.
I have a question actually.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me get back on video. You know, because I used to do a lot of Facebook ads before when it was easier to like tell who you wanted it to reach, right? Like, you know, this demographic of people who earn this much money, 65 and over. And I know that switched that up a few years ago, right? So now that kind of turned me off from Facebook ads. So, and we do, when we get a new listing, we just put it on our business Facebook page, right? We're really not capturing the leads. However, we are really trying to enhance our KV Core and do what you're talking about right now. But so my questions would be, when you're talking about considerations, is that when you're setting up your ad, it's going to ask you, are you trying to generate traffic? Is that something why you have it there?
Yeah. So, and that's the question I was going for there, Matthew. I appreciate you for answering that. Yes, that exactly. When you go to create your ad, instead of just putting it onto like your business page, you could still do that, and then you can turn it into an ad. But essentially, when you go to create your ad inside of your ads manager, you're going to want to go through that considerations, which is what I'm going to show you all right now. So let me go ahead and resume and make sure that you can see that. So basically what you're going to do is, as you come into your ad manager, you're going to go ahead and click on create, and then you're going to see these campaign objectives, right? They've kind of changed up the terminology, but basically you got that awareness, you have the traffic, you have engagement, then you have leads. These other two don't really worry about. You don't have an app that you're going to promote or that you've built that you want people to download. And you're not really selling anything unless you were like an e-commerce. So the ones that you're going to use most are going to be like your brand awareness, your traffic, your engagement, and your leads. The one I've harnessed the most effectively, of course, is the leads option. This allows you to create or capture an instant form. You could also, as you can see here, drive messages through Messenger and Instagram. And then you can also do conversions or have people call you directly. So I won't go in through here, but you could then give your campaign a name. Let me actually do this. And we'll just call it webinar so I can see it later. And then you'll create an ad set, which is just basically your audience name. So for example, if I got a fresh new listing and I want to advertise it to San Antonio residents, I can do that. Then I'll just name that San Antonio. And then we'll give this like a new listing type ad name. So when you click on continue, you'll notice the first thing that Facebook has done is they've updated this. So never use the tailored leads campaign. In my opinion, it's a waste of money because they're basically going to create an ad based off of your current business page and what it looks like and kind of like all your posts and stuff. So use the manual lead campaign option here. We're going to go ahead and click on continue. And then this is where you get to start building out your special ads category. Kind of going back to the question that was just asked, we have to now, in order to have our ads run on Facebook platform, we have to select the category of housing. You can also still set up a audience. So once I go through here and I click on and set my campaign budget. So here I'm going to set my daily budget to something like $5 a day. And you can turn that up, just depends on your budget and how many leads you actually want to come in and so forth. So let's go ahead and click on next. And then this gives me an instant form option, right? So I can go ahead and now generate leads and have them fill out a form or have that form already pre-filled. We'll select our business page. And let me just scroll all the way down to the bottom here, because what I want to show you is what was just asked a moment ago, where you probably got turned off when Facebook removed a bunch of data points that you could no longer advertise towards. However, you still can do interest-based marketing with Facebook. So, for example, I'm going to use a demographic area of San Antonio here, and then you can also use detailed targeting. So the biggest ones that I've found that work the most effective are going to be things like Zillow, Realtor.com, Trulia, Home.com. If they have any interest in like a mortgage calculator, you can still select those interests. But what you can no longer do is do marketing based off of like household income or anything like that. It used to be the wild, wild west when I started doing this, because you could essentially advertise to somebody that had $150,000, $200,000 household income, which if you were selling luxury properties, you could leverage and harness to advertise to the right buyer. Now they've kind of removed those interests, but you still can advertise to somebody who's recently been on Zillow, Trulia, who's maybe played or showed interest in a mortgage calculator. They still do have these interests so that you can kind of narrow down who this ad is going to be displayed to. So that's where you'll do that. I'm going to scroll back up to the top here because there is one thing that I have been testing and we have been getting good results with. So there's an instant forms option, and then there's an instant forms in Messenger option. So this is a really cool release that Facebook just put out, because now not only can I generate forms, but I can also start chats inside of Messenger. So Facebook will determine how likely they are to either A, submit the form, or B, send my page a message, and they'll essentially change that call to action to fit the kind of behavior of that person engaging with my page or with my paid advertisement. So this is a really good one. I haven't finished testing it yet, but so far with the form, it's about $1.98 per form, and with the message, it's about $5. So it all varies, but with the message, you're going to get a little bit more warm engagement. They're going to be more likely to engage with you, being that they're actually messaging your page. All right. So let me just show you what an instant form looks like. We've already predetermined our ad budget. You'll notice that I do also have a catalog in here of San Antonio listings. So I can go ahead and select that, and then I can select, San Antonio market homes here. And this will essentially build out a catalog ad for me. So now when I go over to next and I start creating the rest of this ad, you'll notice that it should pull in a carousel of properties into here, and it doesn't look like it's doing it. So let me pop out of here real quick and pop into my live one that I have so I can show you, because we do have this live. So again, I set the instant forms. We have that done. And then this is what your ad would look like if you're leveraging that XML feed. And again, these are dynamic ads. So basically the best performing property is going to be placed into the first position of this carousel to help me drive my cost per lead down. So this is easy to set up. I say easy if you know how to navigate through Facebook. KV Core does give you instructions on it, or if you just want them to do it for you, they do have a service that they provide if you want to sign up for that. But this ad right here is basically going to be dynamic. It updates consistently with new listings coming into the MLS that are either A, my listings, or B, like the office listings, and I have permission to advertise, right? So you can then see we have primary text, and then our call to action is a learn more button, right? So when they click on learn more, what's going to happen is I have these forms that I've created, and right now I have this dynamic ad form that's been created. This is the form that they'll see. So see property now, excuse me, and see homes for sale currently in San Antonio. Now, when they click on the button, it'll basically take them to the intro, right, which is what they're seeing. And then it'll take them to the questions. And this is what I was mentioning are pre-filled. So when they click the learn more button, this form prompts open. It's already pre-filled with their first name, last name, email address, phone number. You could add additional questions into here if you wanted to. For example, if I wanted to add like some conditional logic, like I wanted to go and add, you know, how soon are you looking to buy? You absolutely could just go, just consider that the more questions you ask, the higher your CPL or your cost per lead will go up. So you could go and say 3 months. You can say 6 months and use this as like a questionnaire, 12 months, right? And you could also add more questions. So if I want to add multiple property or ask them if they have a property to sell. So do you have a current property to sell? And you could say like yes or no. So you could add these into this kind of pre-filled form. These don't get pre-filled. These will have to be user input. So that's why I say the more questions you ask, the more likely they are to opt out. But if you want to get a warmer, more engaged lead, this is going to be the route to go, right? So you can go ahead and create that form, and then you're basically done. You're going to run a dynamic ad. You can run this consistently. You could see how I have my pixel set up here. So my pixel is going to continue to track those events as people land on my website. So regardless if they came from Facebook the initial time, your website needs to have its pixel set on it so that it's tracking that engagement and tracking that activity, so that when you do run ads like this, you can still retarget those same people who've already visited your website and may have not even clicked on your ad through Facebook, right? Or people who've already registered on your website and been searching search alerts on your website. They're going to continue to see this ad. It's kind of like the Amazon effect. If you know what I mean, you've clicked on a property or clicked on an item on Amazon, and then all of a sudden it's going through your Facebook feed. You're going to create that similar effect when you leverage your Facebook pixel in that fashion. So let me show you how to, or where your pixel is and what you can do with your pixel, because the pixel is going to be in your all tools under your events manager. But the Facebook pixel is really cool because you're going to have the ability to essentially see the events that are happening. So here's my Facebook pixel here. I can see all my page views. I can see all my searches, registrations, everything, right? So we can go ahead, and if I want to show all events or go into this pixel, all I got to do is click on it. Now, if you've never set up a pixel from the get-go, you will need to set this up. So you'll basically click on create, and then you'll create a pixel. And in your settings, it'll give you the instructions on how to add it to your website. But I want to point this out because this is another strategy that I've basically leveraged to create what we call our custom audiences. So kind of going down into more of a micro granular scale. Maybe you have a new 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom listing that you want to advertise to people who've been on your website and looked at 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom homes, or maybe looked at a particular property in the past in a particular area, and now you have another listing in that area. The way you can do that is you can actually go into create, and you'll create a custom audience. Now, when you do this, you're going to use the source of your website, and we're going to go ahead and click on next. And now I can include not all website visitors, but people who visited a specific web page. And the URL can contain or equal an exact URL, totally up to you. But I can go to, let's say, a URL on my website, and I can grab that URL to that particular listing. And then I can create a custom audience of people who've actually visited that particular listing. So here we go. We have our listings in Gardner Ridge. I can leverage this URL right here. So anybody who's clicked on that property, I can go ahead and create a custom audience with that URL. And you could add multiples into here. Now, if you want to see how many people have landed on a particular URL, you could also do that inside of the Facebook pixel. So you could track that and see what properties people are landing on. And then you can actually build custom audiences with kind of like the most landed on URL if you wanted to, right? So here we can go to custom events, I believe it is, and then you can go under page views and view details, and this should give me, and they may have moved it up on me, but you should be able to get a URL and see, like here, you can see the URLs that are being viewed, right? So you have all this data here kind of at your disposal to be able to leverage to create custom audiences and then retarget those people. So this is essentially what I've been doing and leveraging to effectively drive new lead generation. Again, I just got a fresh new listing. I can take this listing now and I can go and create a Facebook ad and use the lead form strategy to drive as much lead form submissions as possible to an interest in a particular area or within a 15-mile radius. But yeah, any questions out there from anybody? Cari, anything you see coming in the chat?
Nothing in the chat. We have a number of people watching live stream, but no questions yet. Does anybody have anything they want to unmute themselves and ask a clarifying question or comment or anything?
Well, I'm always going to have questions because I think, since I had strayed away from Facebook ads, this looks really interesting. And I guess, Ernie, it sounds like you were so successful doing this up in Spokane. Is that what you said? Spokane before?
Yeah, I was in Spokane and now we're doing it here in San Antonio. So like this month alone, I think we've generated about 750 leads through this same strategy. So it works in just about every area. Again, the idea is that you're running that consistent ad presence and you're never shutting that ad off with that dynamic ad, right? So if I were to go into my ads manager, for example, and go into my campaigns, you could see as of the 8th so far, we've gotten about 24 leads. And let me resume share here. 24 leads at about $1.33 per lead.
Okay. And that is something you can do. Like, let's say, like right now I have just the one listing, but let's say I wanted to do, it looked like you did an ad that said, here's other listings in the area too. So like, are you with EXP or are you with a different brokerage?
No, I'm with EXP.
Okay, so we can show all of our local EXPs on there. Is that something, are those ads a little bit more successful when you say, here's a list of all homes in Camarillo, California, 4 bedrooms, 2 bath with a swimming pool? Is that something like an ad?
And you could do it that route too. Like you could, so I don't know if you're using KV Core or what CRM solution you might be leveraging. But if you are using, let's say KV Core, you can go into there and create a squeeze page for listings in that area. And then you could still use that lead form strategy. And then in the form, when they submit it, just redirect them to, let's say, a page or squeeze page of all listings in a specific area. So you can do that. The other route that I was showing here, I actually have a catalog uploaded into here using Inside Real Estate or KV Core's XML feed. So it imports all the listings from our office, and then I can filter through those listings by the agents who've given us permission, as well as my personal listings to have those kind of routed in a specific set. So if you open up my Commerce Manager here and I go into my items, you'll see that there should be, and let me find the right one here. You'll see that there's about 813, but it shows me all of these listings in here. And then once I have this importing, you could actually go ahead and create what they call our data sets. So like you could do all San Antonio homes. I could actually create another set if I wanted to based off of price. So I can go into here and say price is less than, let's say, $350,000. And it'll give me 502 items. And now I can leverage this set and I can go and run an advertisement with dynamic listings on there that say, hey, check out these homes under $350,000 for sale in the greater San Antonio area, and still use that lead form strategy. It still has multiple listings. It's going to place up to 50 listings in that carousel. So they could actually slide left or swipe right to view more or less listings, right? And then they'll click on a listing, it props that form. It'll then automatically redirect them to the listing. So it doesn't take them to like a landing page or a squeeze page. It takes them directly to that listing on your website.
Did you see that? Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and let me see if I have it here. But if you just go to insiderealestate.com and then under the resources, I'll probably toss this into the chat. You can just type in XML feed or XML listings. And this will give you a third-party syndication. If you're using KV Core, you're going to have what they call as a Zap key or a Zapier key, and that's what you're going to leverage to get this listing feed, right? And they have a Facebook-specific one that you can use. So I believe it's version 7, if I'm not mistaken, which is this Facebook format. And that's the format that you'll use to go ahead and have those listings brought in. So I'll drop that into the chat section there, so you can read through it. But yeah, basically what you'll do is go into your catalog, you'll copy this, you'll input or replace the Zap key with your personal Zap key, and then it'll start importing those listings into a catalog set. Now, again, it's dynamic, so it updates every 15 minutes. So that ad, again, if you're running it right or run it consistently, some people are going to see different sets of listings, right? So they might see it with Peabody as the first listing, and then another day goes by, they might see it with Honey Gold as the first listing, and so forth. But any other questions out there? Hopefully that wasn't a lot of content to digest in a little bit of time.
No, I think it's great. It's a good dose. We can go back and rewatch it, which is what I'm going to do, because with these sorts of things, I can't just watch it once. I'm going to watch it and then try to do some things. I encourage you all to do that. You can find it in the live stream today, later today. It'll be on YouTube, whatever works for you. But you know, I mean, it's worked for Ernest in multiple markets, so it can probably work for you. It's just like anything. You've got to do it. You've got to try it. You've got to get some consistency going. So if you are looking for ways to generate some more leads, this could be it. You can find Ernest, you know, on work chat. I don't want to blow his work chat up, but there's only a handful of us left here. So I know there's a lot of you watching on EXP Family Tree, but we can have him back if there's something specific you guys like have some more questions about, maybe even talking a little bit more specifically about how he's converting the leads or things of that nature. So if you do have any comments about that, comment in the live stream. Maybe Ernest will come back and we can kind of take it to the next step. But I think this is fantastic. Angie, did you have anything to add or any questions?
No, I am working with my VA a little bit on this, so I'm going to have her watch this as well, because I think it will absolutely help with running ads at a much higher level.
Yes, that's a good point. If you have an admin, if you have a VA, have them watch this. They may be more equipped to do it than you.
Yeah, and the idea too is that you don't have to run that dynamic ad. Like I said, it's just a good way to run a consistent ad presence.
Yeah.
The goal here is to drive as much traffic to your website as possible with that pixel installed on it, so that not only are you driving new traffic, but you're also retargeting traffic that's already landed on your website. That's where most agents kind of fall short, is they don't have that pixel set up and they wonder why their CPL is all the way at $20 or $30. And it's just because they're only targeting new traffic. They're not retargeting somebody that may have already opted into their website or already visited their website, but clicked off and took no other action. This is a really good, effective way to essentially continue to retarget, drive awareness, and drive traffic to your website, but also generate leads.
That's right.
Like it.
It's like anything. I think that a lot of us try it. We do it a little bit. We don't know if we're getting the right results. So then we stop. We don't do it consistently. We're not retargeting. So it's just not a consistent thing. And then we just don't get the results. So simple is good. Doesn't have to be dynamic. It just has to be consistent. And that's like anything in your lead generation. So the cool thing is, as you're all seeing, even in Facebook ads, you know, the same concept applies, right?
Yeah, and it's a different strategy than like boosting your post, right? There's absolutely nothing wrong with boosting your post. I think the idea with the boosted post, though, is that you're going to either A, drive traffic, or B, drive engagement with the boosted post. This strategy, when you leverage the lead strategy and you have that form, you're going to notice a significant difference, because that form's pre-filled, it's prompted before they're actually driven to your website. So they're more likely to submit that form over to you, versus if they were to go to your website, click around a little bit, and then maybe close the browser or only look at that one property. You're capturing those details prior to them actually landing on your website.
Right. Good point.
So, and to Matt's question there, you know, again, you can still leverage your website to go and you could actually do this from your backend if you wanted to as well, from KV Core. You could build a squeeze page for, let's say, homes up to 300,000. And then I can leverage this link to drive traffic to, right? So inside of my ads manager, I would go into there and I would essentially set up a ad that says, hey, check out these homes for sale under 300,000 or up to 300,000 in San Antonio. And then when they submit the form, they would be redirected to be redirected to that actual to this page here where they can continue their search.
Yeah.
And a
Yeah.
good practice there, just so you don't get lead duplicacy, is to actually do it from the KV Core platform, because you can turn off lead registration. So one kind of tip I'll give everybody, if you do this strategy and you're capturing lead forms, turn off the lead registration so that if they do start clicking on like 3 or 4 properties, your registration tool doesn't pop up on them and them re-register. And then you have duplicates of the same leads. So you
Yeah.
could turn that off. I believe if you know the short code as well, it's just and disable. Gosh, if I still remember the code, you could definitely tell I'm a nerd. But disable _ registration, and then that'll turn it off on your website so that they're not prompted to actually sign in again.
Oh, good point.
Right. So and only do that if you run the lead form strategy. If you're running a traffic ad set, don't do that. Do not do that, because you'll waste a bunch of money and won't capture any leads. So but yeah.
Love it. Any other comments, you guys? This is good information.
Yeah, we use KV Core. So my son is a realtor with me. He's 25, so he's a little bit more techie. So we do have, so then we have to get Zapier, right? In order to, once they sign that form on in the thing, Zapier is what takes it. And Zapier, is that something like you can get that through Facebook for that one ad, or is that something you're like on a monthly subscription? Do you know that?
Yeah, so great question. Zapier is a monthly tool that you can use. I will say you'll probably use it for more than you think once you dive into it, just because it does create a lot of workflow automations. So if you're using multiple, like say platforms, whether it be MailChimp or Constant Contact, you'll have the ability to connect those sources to KV Core so that they all talk to each other. So I believe Zapier starts off at about $29 a month. If you are using KV Core, go into their marketplace, because they do have a partnership with API Nation, and you get a free sync and you can leverage that for free, basically.
Oh, okay. So that's Zapier, but there's something different, API Nation.
Right. Inside of your KV Core marketplace, you'll be able to have that sync through API Nation.
Oh, okay. That's good information. Okay.
Yeah, and it's similar to Zapier. Ultimately, what happens is Facebook doesn't have a native connection to KV Core, so it doesn't automatically pull in that form that was submitted. So at the end of the day, if you were to not have that connection, you would just have to go into your ads and basically download all of those leads from here, right? So it'll be an XLSV file or CSV file. You would download it and then basically upload it into KV Core. Using a tool like Zapier or API Nation would just automate it for you, so that you don't have to worry about that.
Okay. And then, am I allowed to ask another question, Cari?
Yeah.
So then on that too, like when you talk about retargeting, having that Facebook pixel, so then it'll keep retargeting them and there's no cost to that, right? Once they clicked on, you'll pay for that one click when they go into, but then once you have them in your KV Core and you have the Facebook pixel, it'll retarget them pretty much for free, right? It'll keep targeting them.
Right. Yeah. So great point there. You don't have to continue to pay for that. It just essentially gives you the ability to retarget that traffic that's already visited your website. So if they haven't submitted a form, you're not charged. Again, you're basically you don't pay per lead generally with a lead form submission. They just give you a breakdown of what you're averaging in a cost per lead. So it's not so much necessarily like, okay, I pay $1.47 per lead every time. That could all vary just depending on my daily budget and how many leads are coming in on the daily. So, but you're not necessarily paying to retarget that traffic that you've already captured. It's just kind of a bonus, right? To stay in front of.
Perfect. And then one last thing, I promise. So, I know locally we can do, if we ran a search in our MLS, right, get all the listings, like I talked about, 4-bedroom, 2-bath in Camarillo with a swimming pool. Those are the kind of links, like, because it's come from MLS, we don't really need to get permission from all 80 agents. Let's say there are 80 homes, right? Because it came from MLS. We're just sharing an MLS link, right?
Right.
That's how I
and
understand.
Always check with your broker on record there, where
just,
you're at. That's my best advice. But kind of the general rule of thumb is that you're advertising your website, not so much the listings, right? So like unless you go and say, hey, check out, 7738 Chambers Road, Unit 401, that would be, in my opinion, again, check with your broker to record advertising a property. Whereas if you just build a generic search, you're advertising, your website over everything else. So
Yeah, okay, that's what I.
but always run it by your marketing team and your legal compliance broker to make sure you're staying compliant. And then with EXP also, you do generally have the ability to, since the listings are owned and controlled by the brokerage, you have the ability to, with the permission of other agents, advertise other agent listings. And in these markets right now, if an agent tells you no, then they're doing a disservice.
I love it.
Any other
I love it.
questions?
Awesome. Well, perfect timing. Time to wrap up. Matthew, really good questions that helped other people. We had a lot of people putting thumbs up in EXP Family Tree. So thank you for spending time with us, Ernest. Know you're sorry your little one is sick, but I'm really glad that you came today. I know you helped a lot of people. I also messaged you on work chat. Take a look at that. I did not know about your Spokane connection, but I am right on the border of Spokane and Coeur d'Alene. So
Awesome.
let's connect. We've got some cool things going that might be valuable to both of us. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining. Remember, we're live streamed. You can watch this as many times as you need to. Share it with somebody who might be a bit more techie with you, but as anything, if you're consistent, it will work. And thanks, Ernest, for sharing this info. We appreciate you. Thanks, everybody. Make it a great day.
Thank you, Ernest. Thank you.
Bye, guys.